Thank you, Kelly. There's some new developments in the aftermath of the George Zimmerman murder trial. You'll recall that Zimmerman was acquitted last week in the shooting death of Trayvon Martin. Now the Justice Department is putting a hold on all the evidence in the case and also asking the public for tips via email, indicating it may be weighing a federal civil rights case. Let's bring in our legal panel to find out what's behind all of this and what might happen. Tad Nelson is a defense attorney and former prosecutor, and Rachel Self is a trial attorney, and it's great to see both of you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Tad, is the Justice Department obligated? In other words, is it mandatory for them to do an investigation in this case? Because the FBI already did and determined that George Zimmerman did not racially profile.
Not only is it not obligated, it's ridiculous, Jamie. I mean, this is out of control. We've got a police department that said there's nothing here. We've got a DA's office that says there's nothing here. We've got a state attorney's office that cheats and still loses.
What do you mean cheats?
Bottom line is, this is...
What do you mean cheats? Well, that's a big accusation.
No, they hid evidence. They held it under. A person got fired because he exposed how they cheated. I mean, this is all fact, Jamie. The bottom line is, this is political. You've got Brother Barack Obama and Eric Holder are pushing this because they're pandering to their people.
You know,
it's
Tad,
ridiculous.
Tad, I'm going to ask you to stick to your legal expertise, if you don't mind. The President of the United States deserves respect. He did come out yesterday and ask America to come together as a nation, that we should unite, we should not look at color. Rachel, in terms of the actual case, I was impressed because the president said yesterday the jury did its job, the judge ran a proper trial, and the jury instructions were correct. They made their decision.
Yes, without a doubt.
So what is it, Rachel, that the Justice Department will look at that this jury did not? I want folks at home to understand.
Well, because George Zimmerman was not charged with any hate crime. He wasn't actually charged under the hate crime statute. So what the Justice Department is examining is whether or not there was an actual civil rights violation by George Zimmerman against Mr. Martin. And in that, what they're looking at is, was Trayvon Martin killed because of his race? If they determine that George Zimmerman has a history of this sort of behavior, which they're not going to do, here's my point on this.
Are you saying that factually based, they won't find it?
Yes. They're not going to find. I mean, Mr. Zimmerman has a long-standing history of working with people of other races. He started a business with someone of another race. He went to prom with someone of another race. He spoke out when a homeless black man was beat up in Sanford, Florida, saying, look, we need to apply the law equally to everybody. The law is not gray for people in the thin blue line. I mean, he really has always seemed to not care about color. And in fact, it was the 911 dispatcher who brought up race in the first place, and his response was, I believe he's black. He didn't know right away or say with any determination that I know he's black.
Okay.
So, but I think the thing here...
Wrap up, so I could just get Tad in here. Thank you.
We have nothing to lose by investigating this, because the people of America and millions of people are outraged because Trayvon Martin did not, I mean, a young boy was walking home where he had a right to be and was killed, and he was unarmed. And so obviously it absolutely is worth it, and we have nothing to lose by looking into this further. I don't think he's going to be charged, but I think it's very good that we care enough to look into it.
In speaking with a member of the Zimmerman family yesterday, Tad, he actually welcomed the investigation. If it's appropriate to look, he said, please do. What I want to ask you is, I wonder what the implication is of the DOJ looking. Is it really all about the stand your ground laws? If Florida is one of the states that has stand your ground, let's be clear, I'm a Florida lawyer, it didn't play a role in this case because the defense attorney chose not to raise it. It would have given the judge an opportunity to decide this case before it ever went to the jury. They went self-defense instead. But it's a controversial law, stand your ground. And do you think when the DOJ looks at it, they will at least impact the future of stand your ground laws?
Absolutely, Jamie. They're going to impact it. But you just hit the nail on the head. Stand your ground, despite it being the #1 issue throughout the country right now, all the talk shows had zero to do with this case, because this was a strict, straightforward self-defense issue. And that's the problem with what's gone on here. We've taken a non-racial situation and turned it into race because of who the players are. And everywhere you look, everybody is pandering to their people. It's posturing. 100%.
I don't agree with that.
And
Yeah,
that's
I
what
don't
it's
agree
Rachel,
with that.
quickly,
Well, you're wrong then. You're just wrong.
Thank you,
No.
Tad.
No,
they're
I-
holding up the evidence, Rachel. Is that appropriate? Not that Mr. Zimmerman wants to get his gun back, we don't know, but holding up the evidence and asking the public for email tips.
Right, without a doubt.
Rachel, what's the point that the Justice Department is trying to accomplish? I have about 20
Well,
seconds.
what they're doing is preserving the
Posture.
evidence, so if they determine that what they're doing is preserving the evidence so that if they determine that there is a civil rights violation, they can prosecute him and have all of the evidence going forward. So it makes sense for them to do that.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Great insight into what
Thank
the
you.
future of this case looks like. You know, all the rallies are going on today. A lot of support for the Martin family as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.